Well, hello everybody and welcome back to The Power of Words. Today we're going to share with you the power of words of an amazing young lady, Carrie Lyn, the founder of LearnVille, which is going to change a ton of lives. She's also a mother of 4. Welcome, Carrie, and so nice to have you here. I'm so happy you could join us on the spur of the moment.
Yes.
It's great to have you.
I'm honored to be here.
Thank you. And let's talk about you as a mom. And of course, the power of words is about dealing with your emotions and handling your emotions. And I know you've had some things that you would like to share. I believe sharing vulnerabilities is what helps others deal. It helps you first, it helps you heal. It also helps others deal with what they're going through and understand that they're not alone.
Yeah. I think that I first of all, 100% agree with you in terms of that. And learning that lesson myself has been one of the greatest lessons, is sharing creates a space for others to learn and help them have a better future. And what do I mean by that? For so many years, I had lived with keeping things internally, keeping feelings, keeping emotions, thoughts, and traumas inside of myself. And that stems from my upbringing from an Asian family. You know, you don't want to burden other people with your hardships, right? Yeah. And so there's a lack of emotion associated with that. But then you have internal turmoil, because how do you get help? How is there a support system for you if nobody knows what's going on?
Absolutely. You're not expressing yourself.
You're not expressing yourself. And so at the first point in motherhood and parenthood is, where's that balance between now you're a parent and where is you as an individual? Where does that go? And then where is you as that spouse, that girlfriend, that sister, that daughter? What happens to her? And so the first thing is balance. Like, how do we balance and maintain each of these little individuals, parts of who you are? And then maintaining that healthy balance so that we can be the best versions of ourselves for our children, understanding to our children. And so I've gone through years of therapy to get to a space where I'm opening up publicly, and not even just publicly, but with my close-knit circle who for years have not known or heard any of the things that have been going on internally. And so I realized that I'm being unfair to my circle, my village. I'm not giving them the opportunity to be there for me the way that I'm there for them.
Absolutely. And, you know, sometimes when you're not sharing, you're being unfair to your closest ones. The people closest to you don't understand what you're going through and what you're feeling sometimes, because you don't want to put them in that position.
Yeah.
You know, talking about, I just want to step back a little.
Sure.
You mentioned, you know, who are you once you have your kids? You know, you're a mother, and you're a mother. That's all you are. There's, you know, for some time, I think we forget about, you have no time to be the wife, you have no time to be the sister, you have no time to be the daughter, because this is your real new focus. And then you absolutely have no time for yourself. So we're talking about this now, and this is something that women are speaking out more about. But how do you actually do that? How do you actually make that time for yourselves when your kids are your priority?
So once I realized that this balance created a healthier mom, a happier mom, then I ensured that that time could be 10 minutes in the Whole Foods parking lot sitting in my car. It could be sitting in the bathroom for an extra 15 minutes while the kids are at school. And honestly, sometimes in the parking lot of soccer practice, right? But that also came with having a conversation with my husband and saying, I need some me time. So on Saturday afternoon, after all of the sports, I'm gonna just go for an hour, maybe 2 hours. I don't know what I'm gonna do. I don't have a plan. I might drive down the coast. I might just sit in a coffee shop and read a book. But when I'm fueling these buckets, you're gonna have a happier wife. You're gonna have a more loving wife, more present wife, and mother to our babies. And so our energy and our love in our home will just be uplifted and magnified. Yeah. And so it's really important that we are able to articulate that to our partners, and from a space of, this is for us. This isn't just for me. This has a household impact.
Yeah, you bring your great vibrations into the home.
Yeah.
We often talk about how we're dealing with kids. Your kids are a little bit older now, and looking at what the world's presenting in terms of technology. You're immersed in technology. I love what you're doing. We'll come back to that a little later in the conversation. But what do you think the impact has on the next generations, the young moms? I mean, your message right now is really great for mothers that are coming into the path that we've already been on. So my big fear is, how are the kids going to deal with technology? What technology presents, the distraction, the focus. What I talk about a lot is focus. How do you focus? How do you pick an emotion, think about it, and focus on that? So what are your, being in technology yourself and offering that, what are your concerns for the next generation?
There are so many concerns. I think that our mental health is the primary health concern that I have that is directly related to technology. And what do I mean by that? I mean, all of the triggers and emotions and bullying that occurs just through the use of technology, mobile devices, has increased. I believe the current statistic is 78% of students are experiencing bullying, and a lot of that comes from cyberbullying, because people can hide behind their devices.
They're braver behind
They're braver, and that in real life impacts real people, that impacts our suicide rates, that impacts the need for mental health services for our youth. And so this is just one concern, but it's such a huge concern across the board, because it's not just youth, right? This is adults as well.
Absolutely.
So how do I feel about myself as a 30-year-old, a 35-year-old, a 25-year-old, and I'm not where all of these people are that I see on social media, with the car, with the rings, with the vacations, that look so beautiful, but yet behind the scenes they may be sleeping on the floor of their friend's house, right? But I have now been damaged because I am not worthy, I'm not doing as much as I could, I'm not as successful as all of these other people online with, all of these followers, and it just looks like the life that I wish I had. So now I'm going into a depression. Yeah. I am not motivated, I'm not fueled, and combine that with not feeling safe to communicate your vulnerabilities publicly.
Absolutely.
Wow, that's
a lot of pressure. It's a lot of pressure for kids. Also, some of them start to hide and just watch what everyone else is doing, and they feel so much less than their peers and their friends
and they're not
their
productive.
Colleagues, and they're not productive because they're going deeper into this deep, dark hole. Do you see a light at the end of the tunnel?
I do see a light at the end of the tunnel. I see how this is being acknowledged right now. This is the impact of technology. Now, how do we make it a healthy way? Like, now we have the do not disturb on iPhones, schedules. I personally have 0 notifications unless it's a VIP quote, right, in my phone. No social media notifications, no email notifications, because one notification impacts the quality of time, whether it be between the person that you're sitting in front of or you by yourself in whatever it is that you're doing.
Yeah.
Right?
Absolutely.
So it's almost like I'm running a race, and every time a notification comes on, I turn around and then I just lost 5 seconds of the race and now I can't win. But that 5 seconds made such a huge impact on your train of thoughts and your motivation, and that quality of time, because how important do you feel if I'm sitting with you and I'm like,
constantly looking at your phone, yeah. And it happens all the time. It's started to be a norm right now. People can look at their phones because, oh, it's urgent, it's work. And I tend to do that sometimes. I'm waiting for something, and you know, we've been talking about it for a while, and maybe we need a total satellite shutdown, 3 hours of the day or 4 hours of the day at dinner time, maybe end of the day. Wouldn't that be amazing to just shut everybody down?
Oh, I do not allow people on their cell phones in my car if we're driving together, because this is our talk time.
Love that.
And not while we're eating.
Absolutely.
That's just bare minimum. You know, let's share this space together.
That's a big load. That's heavy, though. I can only imagine, the reaction.
You know what? If you have drive time with somebody, and for example, we're in Los Angeles, our drive time can be an hour.
A lot, yeah.
And within that hour, certain conversations and topics come up that we couldn't have planned, but the value and the wisdom that is shared during that time is irreplaceable.
Absolutely. And think about life. You know, you wake up in the morning, you run to work, the kids run to school, they come back, they have homework, you have dinner, you're preparing dinner. You don't have, the car is the only time you can just say, okay, everyone's quiet, no one's moving, no one's going to get a glass of water. You're all sitting there, and that's precious time. And that's how it should be spent. Also, the headphone things that kids do.
This is the old school part that I took from my mother. There are no headphones. That there's no music from their phones playing in the car. We're just in the car. If we have music playing in the car, that's fine. But then we end up talking about it.
Yeah.
What do you think about this artist?
Yeah.
I don't like these lyrics because of this. I love these lyrics. Mom, like, you're so old school,
Yes.
you know what I mean? But those conversations don't happen if you're sitting in the car with your headphones.
Yeah, absolutely. Okay, let's talk about something that's deeper and more personal. Let's talk about loss and healing and vulnerability and sharing. It's hard for me to bring it up with you, but I know it's given you strength, and a lot of the work you've done is a result of what you've been through. And I'd love for you to share for those, so many that are dealing with issues not exactly the same but similar, especially now, the high suicide rate, the not being able to reach kids on time.
Yes, definitely. So I experienced the loss of a child. He was 4.5 at the time, and I had a 6.5-year-old son, and my daughter must have been maybe 3 months.
Wow.
And I witnessed what happened to him, right? And I think that outside of course, it being traumatizing, it's also something that took years for me to have a conversation about with anybody, and years of therapy. I didn't want to love. And I think that I felt like this is the greatest pain I'll ever feel.
Of course.
Right? You protect yourself from everybody in life but your child. You protect yourself from your parents, your spouse, your work, your friends, your bosses, not your children, because you are their protector.
And they're an extension of you.
Oh.
They're an extension of your entire being.
For sure, for sure. And so it was really hard for me to continue to be a mother.
Wow.
So in this moment, I have the greatest joy in my life with my first baby girl and the loss of my child, my son. And it was so conflicting, that emotion. Like, how could I be happy?
How can you enjoy?
How can I can't give to her. And I can't give to his brother. Because this is crazy. Like, I could not even process. I literally had to take a few days in another state by myself. Like, I'm going to Arizona. There's an energy in Arizona. Go there by myself for a couple of days, and then my husband met me. People thought that I wouldn't live because my priority in life is my kids first. Everything else, I'm handling it. You know, I'm an entrepreneur, I'm a mother, but mother is my first priority. And I chose not to ever have a nanny or a full-time housekeeper because I wanted that role. And so after a few months, I was like, I'm either gonna die or I'm gonna live.
You have a reason to live.
I have to choose. Why do I want to be here? Well, I have kids. So at first, my motivation was simply, I just need to make sure they're raised versus let me love them and be this mother, right? So my transition was let me just handle my responsibilities. I'm not emotionally attached to my child. This is what I have to do. And over time, and this is probably the best piece of advice or knowledge in regards to going through grief is it will never be good. It will never be perfect. It will never go away. Yeah. But every day, every opportunity I have to learn a new tool that can help me, learn new information that helps me process the pain, process that trauma a little bit differently, then I have a new perspective and a new lens.
You have new tools.
And so it helps me get over the moments that could have been harder the year before and the year before and the year before. And so that first step for me was choose to live. Then, okay, now that I've chosen to live, what do I need to do just to compartmentalize my emotions so I can put one foot in front of the other? If I looked at the whole spectrum of life that I have to do, you know, with my kids, be a mother, for the rest of my life, be an entrepreneur, be a friend, be a wife, I don't think that I could have done that. But once I just said, okay, here's this pain, here's this trauma, here are my responsibilities, let me deal with a little bit at a time. And almost like when you're going up a hike, right, to the top of the mountain, if you look at the top of the mountain, you're like, damn, that's high. I don't know if I could do that. But if you're looking right here and you're like, I could do this step, this step, this step, this step, and then you make it to the top.
One step at a time, one day at a time.
Exactly.
One moment at a time, at a time like this.
Yeah.
How did your kids feel that disconnect?
100%. And even my daughter, who was only a few months at that time, I honestly believe that she is more sensitive and connected to me because of that time. When I was breastfeeding her and I tried to go to the gym and my mom was gonna watch her, she called me in 15 minutes. It's like she won't stop crying. She won't take a bottle. She would not take a bottle even if I pumped and put it in a bottle. It had to be
just
me.
Wanted you.
Just me.
Wanted that closeness.
And she probably is part of my lifeline to this day. You know, she can feel how I'm feeling, and she's more conscious and aware of how I am feeling internally, whether I express it out loud or not, more than any of my other children.
You know, the situation when you've got young kids, you've lost a child that's young. You still have those responsibilities, overwhelming responsibilities. It takes a long time. I know that you've used that loss and that grief in your life to help others, because I believe through helping others is how you heal as well. What is it you think? Was it the program you did? Was it LearnVille that got you to? Because you need to get to a place of strength. You need to feel motivated again. How long did it take you to get there? Oof. And was it really doing something outside of your family? Because your family is your responsibility, but it's taking on that task to help someone that really needs the help. That's your real path to healing. It distracts you. It immerses you into someone else's pain and grief or loss.
So at first, it was a lot of doing for others, because seeing someone else smile fueled me. It gave me joy. It still does to this day. But I understand now that being helpful and making an impact on others' lives brought me joy. Like, okay, I have feelings, right? Otherwise, it was just like, if I'm not doing anything good, then what am I here for? And so I was able to identify at one point that my personal reason of being alive and here today is to make an impact that lasts longer than my life. And that's what my son would have wanted.
Tell us how you did that. And why?
So my husband and I started an after-school program for an inner-city school in Los Angeles called Alexander Science Center. And we were able to impact students by providing them access to education, health education, career path education, and core study skills to not just memorize testing answers and things like that. And today, that program now serves over 3,000 students a day.
Wow.
In LA County. Over the course of 20 plus years, I have developed and established other nonprofits with celebrities and community leaders to make a greater impact than I ever could by myself, if that makes sense. I'm me. I can impact a few hundred people, maybe a few thousand. But educating and partnering with community leaders and influencers allows me to impact hundreds of thousands of people with the same amount of energy.
Absolutely.
And so today, we are developing an EdTech platform, which is a mobile EdTech platform in which we provide access to equitable education. What do I mean by that? Education that most inner city schools do not have access to, such as financial literacy.
Very important.
Conflict resolution, anger management, cybersecurity, Web3 knowledge. And so all I've essentially done is bridged technology that exists today with our education that we know has worked for years. And now we have a scalable, cost-efficient way to distribute it globally.
Wow.
So courses like financial literacy, courses like mental health and anger management impact so many metrics across the board. We reduce the need for mental health services because we're providing tools that I didn't have, right? and you may not have had, and hundreds of thousands of people may have never had in their life.
And people still don't have them because they're not available.
They're not available.
It's not accessible.
So providing access to that type of education, financial literacy, helps close this wealth gap and gives us a hand, because other people have this access, but a level playing field now to say
knowledge is power.
Knowledge is power. So unlike me, who, hey, I graduated high school and all of a sudden these credit cards gave me a bunch of credit and I was in debt for years of my life with a 20% interest rate, you will know better than me.
Yes, absolutely.
And so now we are uplifting communities, not just our youth, because the youth take that information and they share with their family and their friends. And so we have a healthier community in these inner cities. It doesn't just live in the school or in their church or in, this little community center.
Wow. And I know there is to get kids to go into an app and learn something is difficult, right? How do you keep them interested? How do you make them feel like this is a reward? And I know you have one of the great programs for that.
So
you want to excite
you want to excite them and engage them. So first, it being a mobile app, we're meeting them where they're at. They're on their devices.
Yes, absolutely.
Second, we're not offering just courses on financial literacy. We're offering courses that excite them. How do you monetize social media? A lot of these students and youth are into how many followers do I have, how many likes do I have, how many comments, is it a viral reel, and they're not making any money. So courses on how to monetize your social media, courses on music, courses on sports, the business behind sports. But what are they actually also getting for that is they're earning rewards points. So for every completed course, so they take a test, they're earning points. And they go into our digital gift shop in-app and they turn them in for digital gift cards to some of their favorite brands, from Target to Nike to Spotify, Amazon even,
Apple.
So these are brands that they would love to shop at but may not have the budget for. So we can immediately impact their life simply through them completing courses that they are actually creating a higher earning power for themselves.
Absolutely.
Because
so you're paying them to get educated rather than them paying for their education.
Correct. Incentivizing them.
That's fantastic. That's great. I can't wait to learn more about LearnVille and everything else you're doing. And I'm so grateful for you being here today. Thank you. I would have picked a word for you, but if you were going to pick a word today, what would it be? Let's give you this.
Oh, look at these. These are beautiful. So
it's using the power of your words to stay focused.
I would say today would be resilient.
And that's you. That's what you've been all along. I think you'd be resilient
may
every
I put
day.
It on?
You may.
Yay! Resilient. I'm feeling it. I'm feeling the energy.
You are it. You are it with everything you've done and bounced back and.
Look at the power of words on the back side too. So you can flip it over. You're going to see it either way.
It's just when you see the color orange in a while, it will remind you of being resilient. Thank you for being here. Such a pleasure to have you. I feel like there are so many conversations that we need to have, but I'm glad to have started here.
Thank you so much. I'm grateful.